So it's Saturday the 2nd of September, and God, hasn't the weather changed here? But I think it's just for the weekend, guys. But don't forget, tomorrow it's going to be the 10-day weather report, and I know there's a lot of people still coming over, but today the temperatures are a little bit low. So at the moment it's 24 in the shade, and I can safely say it feels like 24. It's going to go up to 27. Now the pool, I haven't even bothered because it's just too cold for me now. Last time I looked the other day it was 24. It's probably even worse. Yogi, he's the first man in, so he gets the top man for yet again for the day. Well, as you know, guys, I won't be saying top man, top lady and all that stuff now, because I'm going to get on with chatting now. And I've got to thank everybody yesterday. I got over 100 likes, but just in case you think, oh, you said the other day, Sean, if you got over 100 likes, you go in the pool. That ain't happening. The pool's finished now for me. Anyway, going back to today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change it over to that. Even though it doesn't look very appealing. Mind you, looking at the photograph, it looks not too bad, but we've had a heavy downpour already this morning, because I've just put up a little snippet video this morning, having a cup of coffee in the pouring rain, but thankfully we never got wet because we were undercover. So today I'm going to be chatting about what I like about living in Spain, and I've got to say a big thank you to Yogi, because Yogi was the only man who said don't forget the thumbs. Obviously it worked, because I got over 100 likes yesterday. The only thing that annoyed me a little bit with YouTube, for some reason they wouldn't give me the chat that you guys do every time, and I couldn't read it until this morning. So guys, if you've got anything you want me to chat about, add it below in the comments, or add it below the video if you don't want to watch the whole video of me, because I know I can probably dribble on a bit. So Yogi's in there, he's trying to hog it again, isn't he? So yeah, what I love about living in Spain, and I'll be honest, I've got a lot more loves than I had about dislikes. Dislikes were pretty basic, really. And I've got to say, sorry about the wind, guys. It is a little bit windy, so maybe that's going to interfere with the mic a little bit, I don't know. So, my biggest love about living in Spain, believe it or not, is the weather. And today, full days, is probably not the best day for me to say that, but be honest, we got another wet day tomorrow, but Monday, even though, like I just said, it's the 10-day weather report, Monday's looking really good. But yeah, I mean, the weather, this is the whole reason why I wanted to move to Spain, was the weather. Now, I lived, I would say, probably in the most warmest part of UK, that was sunny Dorset, and we used to get some good months, you know. Sometimes we get it like sort of June, a bit lovely and sunny. Come August, obviously, was my holiday period, and it'd be rain all the way through August. We would have the heating on sometimes. And for you guys that, you know, like me, used to work, we used to get the weekend free. We end up doing the garden, cutting the lawn, mending fence and panels. Life to me was very grey, whereas here, thankfully, it's very bright, and the weather was my main thing. My parents moved out here back out in the sort of late 70s, and it was always a great joy coming over to visit them, because I knew, you know, it's going to be sunny, really. You know, if I booked a holiday, and then don't forget, in those days, guys, back in the sort of 80s, 90s, it was expensive travelling then. I mean, I can remember booking a plane with the kids, and it was just like a 10-day return. I think this is when Freddie Laker was just sort of breaking out then, and we were talking over 500 tops, you know, more than that, because you had to have insurance and things like that. But yeah, the weather is my main love, because I know next week I can go out one day in the week and it's going to be fine. Whereas if I was back in the UK or anywhere else, probably it would be a little bit iffy, because usually this in some places would be like this for the next month. But thankfully here, it was a little bit chilly last night, I'll be honest. We turned off the fans last night because it was a little bit cold. Not a blanket, but put a sheet on the bed last night. But nothing to moan in. Like I said, at the moment it's 24. It's going up to about 27 this afternoon. Now the humidity I saw was 75, so still going to be pretty warm. Unfortunately, there was a lot of events. The Mohacker was going to have a light festival on tonight. That's been cancelled till the end of the month. Now I'm not 100% sure because somebody was telling me that Tails put up a post saying that the music tonight on Campus OA has been cancelled, but I can't say that for definite because I had a quick look on Facebook. I couldn't see anything about it being cancelled, but I would imagine it would be. But anyway, so my number one love is the weather. My number two love is the Spanish people. I've met some fantastic people here, especially Spanish people, who, one obviously major problem is the communication problem, and it's just, but we still manage to understand each other. And I've met some fantastic, what I love about the Spanish people, they're so welcoming. I mean, okay, maybe in a shop, you get that anywhere, but when I'm out meeting people, asking for places, I mean, especially when I'm out exploring, yeah, I mean, there's no, oh, we're going back to your place now. Oh, but no, come on in, have a look, meet the family, hello. It's, sit down for a meal. Now me, if you know me, not a very good lover of Spanish food, I must admit. And I do feel a bit impolite sometimes when they bring out like a half a pig or an octopus, and I say, sorry, I can't eat that. And I'm one of those people that will say that, I can't eat that. But they always look quite bemused about that. But over the years, I've met so many Spanish people that, especially when I've been flying with drones, they've come over, they're always very inquisitive, and I've been out with some like FPV people, that's the fast racing drones, and they've dragged me in and let me even try to fly their drones, Oh, it's a lot of money, I don't want to crash it. But yeah, I've met some fantastic Spanish people here, and that's another reason why I love living here. I can go out by myself, and I've been in some situations where I think I've walked into an area, say, it looks a little bit dodgy, but I've never, as far as I can remember so far, ever felt threatened. And that's pretty good, because I've been in some places in the UK, and I've never felt really safe there. But here, touch wood, I've never had a problem yet, and that's my second love, is the Spanish people. Number three is the expat community. Now, one of the things when I started looking to live in Spain is I didn't want to live in a big expat community. I wanted to live out in the country. I think that's your dream, living out in the country with a nice little finca, a plot of land with your own fruits, lemons and oranges and almonds and all that sort of stuff. And my dad kept on banging on me about, well, so what happens when you get older and you need to go to the hospital, because bits fall off you, don't they? And I never really took much notice of it. And obviously, as I did get older, and when we started looking, we started thinking, yeah, maybe we should live on a community. And don't forget, it's not just all Brits here. We've got a mixture. There is Spanish here, not a large amount, I must admit. And to be honest, one of the hardest things living on an expat community is trying to speak Spanish. It's all right when you're living out in the country, where you have to force yourself to speak Spanish. Here, it's very difficult because wherever you go, be it the shops, they all speak English. So that is one of the drawbacks. But as a community, if anything goes wrong, and I know I can fall on people say the car breaks down, or need to go to the hospital, or the dog needs looking after, everybody rallies around you. And sometimes people I don't even know will bend over backwards to help you. I was talking to the lady today, well, I wasn't talking to her, but she was telling yesterday that somebody had collapsed in the toilet in Anna's, and she took them to the hospital, which is over an hour's drive away. That's what people do here, and I think as a community you stick more together. Whereas when I was back in the UK, if I walked down the street and said hello to somebody, it was a bit of a shock. But here, and I didn't honestly think when I first come across Campasol, when I asked a couple of people, what's it like here? And they said it's the best thing they ever done. Wish you'd done it years ago. And I had two people say that in two different places. And I thought, oh, maybe, I have to look into this. And once we started living here, yeah, the community, and I imagine it's the same wherever you go around Spain, where the expat communities are. And when I say expat, when I say the expats, is probably better in the sense of, I'm not talking about just Brits, I'm talking about expats for French, Belgium. There's a lot of French in Belgium here, and German. And I have to be honest, I haven't got many, thinking about that, I haven't got many, if any. Although I've got a few Belgian friends, yeah, but not many on that side of it. But yeah, it's the expat community. Well, number 4, as you probably watch my videos, one of my major loves is exploring. I've always, wherever I've lived, especially in the UK, I lived in a fantastic part of Britain, I think, Dorset. People would say now Somerset, Wiltshire, whatever, but to me Dorset had so much history there, and I'm a great lover of history. Like Corfe Castle, all the hill forts, all those sort of places. But the only thing I didn't like about it was you were restricted. Like Corfe Castle was all owned by the National Trust, or that other lot, English Heritage. And you had all these rules. You had to paint a car park. I couldn't wander off and have a nose in buildings and that without permission. Whereas here, I found so many places where I can just walk onto virtually. And if they've been in the UK, it's like the Mazaron mines down in the town, about 10-minute drive from me. Now, if that had been in the UK, that would all be fenced off. There'd be signs all over it, keep out, danger. But here, I think the people, you're still let to be sensible. You know there's dangers there. You're not going to walk into a frigging hole or into a cave or something like that without some being cautious, or being careful. Whereas back in the UK, it's a bit of a namby-pamby thing. Oh, you might cut your finger, but we'll take your money off you first, and signs everywhere, and yeah, and also, I haven't got far to. I've been here 7 years now, and I'm still finding other places quite close by, really, probably about an hour's drive or so, and I'm finding more and more places. And I've got so many other places that I want to. I've got a list on my Google Maps. It's called Where I Want to Go. I think I've got 55 places I still want to check out. Some of them probably not much cop, but some of them are amazing. Obviously, it means a lot. Now I'm up and about, more mobile now. I can start to visit these places. So that's my 4th love. Right, number 5 is the health system here. I can't say much about our medical centre here on Campasol. I've been there a few times. Me personally, this is my own personal thing, I think it's just badly managed. I know, it's a Spanish health system, so obviously they expect you to speak Spanish. I know that, but having a place actually on campus where everybody speaks English, and a lot of people that live here are old people, where they find that thing very difficult. So your first problem is the receptionist, and I've known quite a few in there. And I think, I don't know what it is about receptionists, wherever you are in the world, they can be very obstinate, you know. And when I go in, especially at our medical centre, you don't get a ticket. You go in, you sort of like book yourself in, and say, yeah, Mr. Matthews, and you can do it on your, I mean, it's all high tech now, you can do it on your app, and you can show them, and they say, yes, okay. So you sit down, and after about an hour or so, you're thinking, there's been people coming in after me and going into the doctors. So when the doctor comes out of his door, and he's got a list, and if you're not on the list, then you're not going to get seen. And that's annoying. If you've been there for about an hour and a half with all the other people that's got germs, and you're not even on the list, you have to rebook your appointment. Sometimes it's not straight away. So what I've done, I've joined the private doctor's clinic, which is in the business centre, and you pay, I think it's €20 a month for that. So I can go and see a doctor when I feel like it. But obviously I had to get referred back to the doctors if it's something like I need to, say, go to Cartagena or something like that. But it just, so if I got a cold or something, I just know I ain't got to hang around waiting. But once you actually on the list, especially if you have an operation, fantastic service. Last year, my friend Steve marched me down to the medical centre to get the hip sorted out, and I've got to thank him for that. And once you're in the system, I think probably about this time last year when it all kicked off, and I went down to Mazaron. They got a hospital there, only a small one, to have an x-ray, and then it all kicks off. And then the beginning of this year, I went to see the surgeon at Cartagena. It was a lady, but it wasn't going to be the guy that was doing the work on me. The lady, I should say. And she did say then it's going to be in the next 6 months. It's probably going to be private, but don't worry, it'll be all paid for, which was another bonus because I had to pay for it. We're talking about 10 grand. And she said it'd be private. And I think it must have been about June, July. I got notification. I'll be honest, I was panicking. I've got 32 in the house. I'm just checking. 25 likes, 26 likes. Wow. And that was amazing. And they said, yep, you're going to have it privately done. I went to the hospital. I then saw the surgeon. He was an old bloke, and I was a bit concerned about an old bloke doing my hip. And he gave me a leaflet, which I've never even looked at even yet, about this whole hip that I was going to put on. It was like a door handle, and I was panicking. I had my own, when I went to the operation day, I went in midday. As soon as I got in the door, they said, get your gear on, your funny hairnet and your funny feet thingies, off down to the operating table, job done. I think I was in there for 2 days. Like I said, I had my own room, which I think, me personally, was a big help. And I was out, and here I am. And I've spoken to a lot of other people who've gone in for operations, and as far as I know, I've never heard yet of a bad thing. It's funny, when you start to speak to people about operations, and they say, oh yeah, my friend went in there, and it went terribly wrong. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence. But as far as I know, since I've been here, I haven't heard anything bad, especially our main hospital is at Cartagena, and they've been brilliant and also so helpful. Obviously, when you go to the main hospitals, you do need a translator. We got a fantastic translator that lives in Cartagena. She's so helpful, and I'll give her name out, Ines, because she's a top lady, and she bend over backwards to get you sorted, because they know you're panicking, especially when you can't speak the language. So that's my 5th love. 6 is my language. When my parents came out to Spain in the late 70s, I would say me and my dad are very similar in some ways. I think he's a bit more intelligent than me. But anyway, when he came out, none of my mum and dad couldn't speak Spanish at all, other than obviously hola, things like that. But where they moved to in Spain, nobody spoke English, so they had to literally learn solidly. And after a good year or so, my dad could go down the street. He wasn't perfect, but he could have a conversation with anybody, and he was a person that would speak to anybody. And I thought, when I moved to Spain, I would have that same sort of, yeah, be easy. God, I find it so difficult. Some of the words are difficult for me. I'm going to say that purposely, aren't I? But some of the words, what I say Arabic, where you're sort of speaking from the back of your throat, I just can't do that. And I can't get my head around some of they do. One of the guys, when we first come here, to learn Spanish, he said, you've got to understand your grammar. Now, I don't understand my English grammar. I miss certain parts of my schooling when I used to go to school, because I lived on a farm, and I think I missed the important bits because I don't understand all that sort of stuff. And obviously, when you're in a different country, everything's back to front, or it's got different meanings, it's got different sounds. It's just too much for me. Thankfully, my wife Jan, she can speak some Spanish. So when I go out, and obviously when I meet my Spanish friends, it is a bit frustrating sometimes, because we want to talk about places that we want to explore. So we do rely a lot on Google Translate. And I'll be honest, Google Translate, it's all fine when you're at home and you translate, but when you go into, say for instance, the other day I went into the car park place to get a cable door release. Because everything's back to front, even though it translates it for you, it wasn't enough to understand. So yeah, it can be a little bit annoying. So unless there's a language company out there, and I know they do them, where you can talk into something, I'm quite happy to try it out for you guys. But I'm not paying ridiculous amounts of money. I think it's like you pay £300 or £400 for one of these speak things, and it speaks back into another language. So language companies, I'm quite happy to promote you. But yeah, language, I mean, it's still a love. I mean, I do love, especially when I'm out at some places and they're playing the old Spanish music, and you're listening to, even though you don't understand what they're on about, it's a nice, I think it's a lovely language. I just wish I could understand it. Well, another one, I don't want to babble on too long. I've been babbling for about 20 minutes now, is eating out. Now, back in the UK, was probably a thing of the past. I think the only time we used to eat out, me and Jan, and you probably know me already, I love McDonald's, that was probably our luxurious meal. That was it. We wouldn't go anywhere else. But here, you can go out to some lovely places. I did a place the other day, Lost Balconies. Now, they've just got a new chef in, and they've done when you look at the plate, you're thinking, God, is that enough to feed you on? But I just saw the menu the other day, and I think it's like €16. So we're talking about a 3 or 4 course meal for €16. So that's probably about, I don't know, 12, 13 quid. And we're talking about a drink as well included in that. And I don't think there's many places, especially in the UK, where you can go out for a nice meal and not pay a huge amount. Obviously, there are places in Spain where you can go in. I think some of the main places that you can go into, you have to be careful with the drinks. You can probably get a nice cheap meal, and then they whack up the price on the drinks. But once you go out and about, you start to learn the places, and obviously there's places where you will go. The service does get a little bit lax sometimes, especially the holiday season, because some places I've been there, had a fantastic meal. We go back a couple of weeks later and we've had a horrible meal. But you go back in a couple more weeks' time or months' time, and it's got better again. I think personally it's all to do with the chef. But going out, I think, for having a meal and not rowing too much, in your pocket. I mean, I can go across the road now if I wanted to and have dinner. Now I'll probably have sometimes I'll pop across the road in the evening probably about 6 or 7, and have a breakfast. Because I love an English breakfast. Obviously, you're not going to get me to go over there and have a paella. I mean, I have a paella if it's basic, if it's like bits of chicken, but I'm not going to have a paella. I've got a friend over in Alcatraz called Andy. He's a great lover of Spanish food. He'll eat anything. He'll eat a live lobster if he could. So I couldn't do that. Sometimes I've had some meals over the years, not just in Spain, but when I was in Hong Kong and that, having a fish soup and having an eyeball floating about in the soup. Sorry, I couldn't eat that. But one of the things I love here is you can go out and get a really fantastic meal and drinks, and it's not going to put a big hole in your wallet. Whereas some other places, you're just frightened to go out, because it's going to cost you. So I've said 7 things, which is amazing. So what I'm going to do, obviously, I haven't been looking at I've got 41 in the house now. One of my biggest, and 37 likes, which is fantastic. I haven't looked at any of the comments, guys. So as you can probably see, I'm not going to be doing it, because I know some people say, "Oh, Sean, just be yourself and do the top man, top man." But I know it can be irritating me doing that, and I get sidetracked and I forget what I'm chatting about. But I prefer doing this. So what I'm going to do later on, if YouTube allows it, because for some reason yesterday YouTube wouldn't let me see the chat until this morning. So if you've got any questions or you want me to talk about, nothing, don't let me talk about which is the best solicitor or those sort of things, because that's all to do with you need to get proper, what's the word for it now, proper legal advice. Me, I just pick up things, but things like, anything to do with money, don't ask questions about that to me, guys. But anything else, I'm quite happy to chat about. And I think it was Phil. No, it wasn't. It was Steve. Steve asked me that about the dislikes and likes about living in Spain. So I hope you found that interesting. I'm just going to whack it around now. I've got 39 in the house because it's come up to my... See, because I've got no gimbal now. Oh, wow. I can't believe it. I've got 39 and 39 likes. Now it's... because they know I'm going now. Anyway, don't forget tomorrow, solar panels, says John. So tomorrow it's the 10-day weather report. Obviously, I'm going to say straight away, tomorrow's going to be another wet day. But after that, is it going to be still warm? I did say the other day summer's over with, but it's not. Summer's still here. The switch hasn't gone just yet, but it's got to fly. Summer hasn't just gone yet. So listen in tomorrow for the 10-day weather report. I haven't got a topic yet, so I'm hoping that somebody out there has got something for me to chat about. And anyway, have a fantastic weekend, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Adios, amigos.